Welcome to the Mandcave, the only podcast hosted by two best friends with nothing in common except their first names. I'm Mandy Kaplan.
I'm Mandy Fabian. And every week we test the limits of our friendship that still remains strong, arguing over movies, books, and all of Mandy's dumb ideas. Hey guys, why don't you go ahead, sit back on your couch or in your driver's seat, and let's get to it.
Wait a minute, cut this shit.
God bless you all. And come and be with us in this safe space.
No, you cannot float through a podcast. I won't allow it. Our regular listeners are going, what? Mandy Kaplan started the podcast last week. Why is Mandy Kaplan starting the podcast again this week?
I know. They're furiously marking their calendars, checking to see if they somehow got it wrong. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, you're all correct. We called a mulligan, as Mandy Fabian likes to say, and we're going to go out of order. A Mandigan, perfect. And we're going to talk about the Chris Rock special Outrage, because last night the 2023 Oscars were on TV.
Yes.
This is all very topical, hot. It's trending. Hashtag now. We're gonna start
hashtag
with
now
the Chris Rock special, and we're going to talk about the Oscars.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah, we are.
You brought up an abortion, as you often do.
Because I do, yeah.
My favorite joke of the Chris Rock special was, if you have to pay for your own abortion, you should get an abortion. I really liked that. Okay.
Yeah, that was a really great joke. Oh my God. Yeah. Yes. So this will be, the Oscars will have been a week ago, guys, but surely it's still tingling in your memory. Like, surely you're still floating from the event. I'm excited to hear what you thought about it. First of all, though, before we even get into that, there's something I need to acknowledge on a personal level.
Okay.
And I owe you and I owe the Fandys and everyone else an apology because, and I'm going to try to correct it on this podcast. I am one of those people who laughs at her own jokes. I laugh at my own jokes. I know this now. I'm aware of it. I just want you guys all to know that I'm working on it, and I'm going to try to be better.
Well, that's why we started the podcast, so that you could fix this. So now we can wrap it up. Now you've organically discovered it.
See, I'm laughing at your joke.
Yes, I was going to say, you can always laugh at my jokes.
Of course. That's how we remain friends, disagreeing all these years. That's the sweet spot right there.
Well, one of the things, while we're trying to self-correct, one of the things I'd like to work on is what I just did, which is starting a sentence and then interjecting into my own sentence something else and then coming back. So it takes this circuitous route to get to my point. And we both do it, and mankind does it. You start something and you say, oh, so last night I was watching the Oscar. Well, Casey said the funny, and you just keep cutting yourself off.
Oh,
and I'm driving myself bananas. So
I see my husband's eyes start to lose light as I'm like, oh wait, let me tell you this detail of the story, realizing that's not really important to the story. I must say, well, that's not really important to the story 1,000 times a day. So anyway, just for anybody who's new listening to this podcast, this is not a self-help podcast, but we just are, but it is, we're just being honest.
We want to make each other better Mandys.
Yeah, better Mandys. Oh goodness. All right. So shall we start with Chris Rock? No, Oscars. Or let's talk Oscars. Yes.
Hot topics. Okay.
That's a great, See, we always sing too. I straight up, and I am typically, you might be surprised, but kind of a cynical Oscar watcher. I think I have a tendency to be a little cynical. I know I didn't enjoy the Oscars last year. And this year to me was pitch perfect, had everything that last year didn't. It was so glamorous. It was so fun. I loved the way they lit up the whole theater. I loved the spirit of it. It felt so like, I love that people's speeches weren't like, thank you, Margaret. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Ed.
Because you don't like Irish people. Okay, go on.
Yeah, well, I've told you I'm turning Irish. This is unstoppable. Next week, there will be an accent. I guarantee it. Okay. That was a really good one. Working on it. So, I loved I love that they were saying, oh, thanks to my drama teachers. And like, this is I remember how my mom encouraged my creativity. And so many people said, there's no way I even deserve this award. It is a team effort. This is on behalf of everyone. It was so gracious and fun. Those guys that won for short documentary just skipped the speech altogether and just sang happy birthday to their cast member. I loved it. I really loved it. I was not cynical, but of course I was still floating for the weekend, but I was really in it, and it made me love the movie business. That's it. Okay, we can end. Do you have anything to say? No.
I found it safe and boring.
No, you did not.
The host, the bits, all too safe. All too boring.
What?
It all felt too PC, and please don't get mad. I barely laughed, and I adore Jimmy Kimmel. I think he's a perfect host. This year, he was too safe. The only parts I laughed at were when he was slamming Will Smith, which or also funny. The only part of the Chris Rock thing I loved. But I thought some of the speeches were absolutely breathtaking, really powerful. I cried at almost every acceptance speech. But the production of the Oscars, boring.
Oh my God, I completely disagree. I thought Jimmy Kimmel was spot on. I thought his humor was very sophisticated. But I mean, it's no secret that I am more sophisticated than you. My tastes run much more highbrow than yours.
I like that you're shocked we're disagreeing. You're like, I totally disagree.
Every time. Do you know how it still lives in my cells somewhere that you didn't think the Nick Kroll special was funny? Like, I mean, it is shocking to me. But also, yeah, you're right. I know. I should know it by now. But I just thought, I thought he actually was pretty edgy. There were things he said that I was like, whoa. But I thought he said it in such a classy, plain way that there was and he said things that weren't like even jabbing. It was more, he just plainly stated the truth about the Will Smith thing, about, the state of the industry. I mean, I can't remember the specifics. I didn't take notes while I was watching it, but I thought he just, did you? Of course you did.
Of course I did. I mean, not that many, but I took notes.
Yeah. That's interesting.
I was excited for him, and I was disappointed in him. And his crowd work was uncomfortable, and he's usually so good at that. Don't expect Malala to join in your reindeer games. It was uncomfortable. Leave Malala out of it.
No, everybody did great. It was funny. You thought it was too uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Oh.
The biggest laugh of the night for me was when Jimmy Kimmel made a safe, boring joke about, if you're going to come attack me, you have to get through The Mandalorian and Michelle Yeoh. None of that made me laugh. Then he said Spider-Man, and Andrew Garfield chose to make a face like, I don't know if I'm going to get involved. And I laughed out loud, and I was like, good for Andrew Garfield for not doing the typical response that the other 6 actors did of like, yeah, don't mess with me, don't mess with Jimmy. Andrew Garfield zigged when they zagged, and I enjoyed it. So kudos to him. I thought
that whole thing was pre-planned. So they don't tell people that they're going to, do a little bit with them.
That doesn't seem pre-planned to me.
You know what did not seem? Oh, yeah.
No, go ahead.
You know what did not seem pre-planned? What I couldn't believe is how many people did not bother to say, hey, would you send me the paragraph that I'm going to say just so I could practice it a couple times and kind of have a sense of what I'm saying?
The presenters?
Oh my God. It's really interesting. I'm just going to be on stage in front of 60 million people, but you know what? I could probably wing it. Like a cold read should be fine. I thought that was kind of crazy, especially because the show always runs long and then they speak in sentences like they're on a Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
And then they mess up sentences because they don't know what they're saying.
Right.
That was really good. Would you like my impression?
Good. Yeah. It was really good.
You guys, that was not, we didn't do that with editing. I just did that naturally.
Yeah. What was your favorite speech? What was your favorite moment?
My favorite moment. I think it was probably the British guys who won for, I think it was animated short. Yes. The Boy, the Wolf, the Otter, the Ear, and the Bringing the Funk. I don't know. I don't remember what it was, but the two British guys who he started off saying, I'm British, so I'm not comfortable saying thank you, so I'm going to say I'm sorry. And he did, I'm sorry, to everyone who participated in this film and couldn't be here, and I'm sorry to my mom and dad for having to raise an artist, or I forget what he said, but it was adorable. And then the second guy, the other director, gets up and says, like, I was told I might need a little help with dressing, and so that was true. And it was just funny. They were just so not Hollywood and so delighted. Maybe the one thing that maybe is hard for people to hear is when people get up and go, man, this is my second film, or this is my first film.
Right.
That's got to be heartbreaking to some of the people in the audience who are like, I don't know, 18 years and never been nominated, but that's okay.
Right. Well,
and by people,
Curtis,
I mean me.
Yes. I heard Jamie Lee Curtis in an interview, and that woman has never paid a due in her life. She does not understand work and she was like, well, when I was 18, someone just offered me a deal at Universal. So I appeared on a bunch of TV shows, and then I had never taken an acting class. I had never thought about acting. I didn't care. And then I got Halloween. So it's hard to root for Jamie Lee Curtis. I do. And I like her, but come on,
Yeah. She's having a heyday though. I mean,
I know she is, but she never had a not heyday. She's just,
that's true.
Things have been handed to her from nepotism, and for whatever reason, she's just never wanted for anything. I don't know.
Yeah. She married Christopher Guest. I mean, that must just be
lucky lady. I know.
Laugh out loud every minute. Although maybe not. Maybe he's very quiet at home and they're very studious and intellectual. I don't know.
They were holding hands and affectionate, and I like seeing marriages like that. When you're watching something, and I hope and pray they have a very happy marriage. And I do love Jamie Lee Curtis. This interview was like, come on, tell me something didn't come easily to you.
Yeah. I really felt for her co-star, who was also nominated in the Best Supporting Actress category. And
Stephanie Hsu, yeah.
Yeah. She is... You didn't see the movie, right? You didn't see it?
I did not.
Oh, God. She's wonderful. She was one of those actresses that I clocked and was like, okay, my next project, if I can get Stephanie Hsu, I will. I mean, now probably I can't. But before, when I saw the movie, I was like, she is a person I would work with again and again. Like,
yes,
everything about her... I just thought her work was precise and grounded, and she had to do a lot in comedy and drama, and she just brought it in this way. I loved her work in it. But she's not winning any of the awards because she's, co-nominated with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Which I think is A-okay for her.
Of course, she's young.
This has been,
Yeah.
Well, my favorite speech, thanks for asking, was, and I hope I pronounced that right, Ki Hoi Kwan, who...
Yeah.
I have not seen the movie, so when he opened his mouth and he still sounds like Short Round, I started to cry and I couldn't stop. And I think I mentioned this on the podcast. His entertainment lawyer is Chunk from the Goonies, Jeff Cohen. And he thanked Jeff Cohen, and he's like, my Goonies brother, Jeff Cohen negotiated this contract for him.
What?
Like, how incredible is that connection and that history? And then he's making this just stunning speech about the American dream and never giving up and brotherhood. And they show Ariana DeBose sobbing behind him. She is such a softie, and she acknowledged it. And I couldn't stop crying because she was crying, he was crying, I was crying. That was my highlight for sure.
It won't surprise you to know that I didn't love that speech. But here's why. I love how in love with this thing he is. I love that he was hugging everybody and jumping up and down and completely unbridled joy. But my discomfort comes when people stand on that stage and go, don't give up, you out there, because this is the dream. This is the thing that you can all hope for. And if you just don't give up, you're going to get here. And that is not realistic.
Not true.
That is
liar.
And I actually think it is damaging to artists to point at them through that television and go, you could be here someday, because then they won't, they'll always be judging themselves against that,
Yeah.
I really think it's important
to
to
enjoy the journey.
And in fact, one of the Daniels said that, which I loved. He was like, my son holding his trophy, he was like, this is meaningless. It's not about this. I will love you no matter what, but I hope you live a full creative life. But it is not about this. And that actually got a lot of big applause, because both of the leads in Everything Everywhere All at Once were pointing and going, this could happen for you. Don't give up. And I'm like, no. Some people maybe should give up. Like,
you should have been doing the pragmatist's interpretation instead of sign language interpretation. So he's like, don't give up. And you're behind going,
unless it's not going well.
Maybe give up.
Just resign yourself to doing community theater and pay your rent a different way. That's all I'm saying.
Yes. Well, look, we're not going to get too deep. Find a way to do what you love in a way that satisfies your soul. Don't do it to win awards. Don't do it to make money. Right?
Yes.
It's why I created Miscast.
Yes.
It makes me so happy. I don't keep a dime. I'm not world famous from it yet, but I don't do it for fame and glory. I do it for my soul and the soul of anyone who participates. And
it's lovely. That's what I'm saying. Like that show is so fun and feeds people's hearts, and and it's a gift to the world. It's not, we're not standing on the stage in front of 60 million people holding a trophy.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that that's what everybody should be shooting for constantly.
I agree with you. I was just so swept up in his joy.
Oh, well, his story, he did say this could only happen in movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's such an extraordinary story that he is living. And for that, I get the sobbing, because it's like, to have done like a couple movies and then nothing for years and years and years and not give up after all of that. Mm-hmm. That is extraordinary. That's a great story. But I just get nervous whenever they go, this could happen for you too.
Right.
I also really loved the editor of Everything Everywhere All at Once. Patrick and I just looked at each other and we were like, wow, he is totally unflappable.
And hot.
Oh,
right?
So
is he the one I'm thinking of?
Yeah, Patrick didn't mention that, but I certainly noticed it. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, very hot, very hot. And just like fun. Like that really warmed me to the movie, because what I saw it and I really enjoyed it. It is clever and weird and different, and you can really tell that it is a labor of love. And you can tell that it meant a lot to everybody who was a part of it. Just
big swing.
From the speeches and from everything. Like, even though when people are like, that's a little movie that did good. Like, no, well, it was like a $17 million movie or something. Like it had a budget. It was not,
right.
It wasn't an indie film by any stretch of the imagination. However, you could tell that they really were able to get as weird and wild as their little artist hearts wanted to. And they were supported in that. And it was great. I will say, though, I didn't feel anything from the movie. Mm-hmm. I thought it was interesting and fun and cool, but I wasn't like sobbing at the end, or I wasn't particularly moved by it.
Right.
I just thought it was a great movie. And so that was surprising me, all the best picture and all the things.
Yeah.
Like, well, artistically and technically, and you could feel the love for the process, but it didn't like touch me as a human being because it was so kind of wackadoodle. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that movie is polarizing. Everyone I know didn't like it.
Oh, interesting.
But appreciated the artistry of it. I don't really know anybody who saw it and loved it.
I do. I know,
but I know
people.
Critics loved it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also it's being told as like a family love story, and that's there, but that's there in a very sort of a framework for the whole thing to be as wackadoodle as you want. But I thought was interesting is seeing the guys who made it, seeing the way they talked about each other, hearing their big hearts,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, so I didn't get that from the movie, but I got that from their speeches. It's like,
mm-hmm.
oh, they're really, I bet that was a very wonderful set to be on.
Oh, yeah. It felt like a family.
So when they do Everything Everywhere All Over again,
mm-hmm.
I think we should audition.
Okay.
You know?
We're probably so right for it.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to wrap up our Oscar recap.
Right, yes.
Is there any other burning observation?
How about Lady Gaga? I thought of you. I just want you to know that.
Well, another weirdly close-up performance. Why does she want the camera in her throat as she sings?
I think her purpose was to be without makeup and hair. She was completely stripped down, and I think she was trying to say she is a walking installation piece. Like, she is pure, like, always kind of thinking in terms of presenting an art and meaning. I find her as an individual.
I thought she was a bit off pitch too. I'm putting it out there.
I think she did too, because at one point she took her earpiece out, and I thought, I wonder if she's doing that so that she can just give a raw performance and not worry about being so, you know.
Yeah.
Like, but I thought it was interesting. She was stripped naked in a way.
Yeah.
It was cool.
I thought the correct song won for best song. Not
it
to.
did.
The other songs did not impress me. I was bored by all the other songs. So I was glad that one. That had a life and an electricity. And okay, my last observation is Florence Pugh looked like she was wearing a shower curtain and that a toddler gave her haircut. Okay.
Sorry, Flo.
It happens.
Yeah.
That was a weird outfit. It was weird.
It was a little odd, yeah. I will say there was a couple years where all of the outfits everybody was trying to have like no center to their dress. They all wanted their dresses to look like they were floating. Oh, we did notice the woman with the big white sort of fan.
Inappropriate.
We were like, what? Who's wearing that? And by the way, who's sitting behind her? I would be so pissed.
The unlucky 2 or 3 rows who couldn't get a clear view of the stage. I cannot believe they let her walk in with that. Who is she?
I know. I have no idea, but I'm sure somebody's talking about it.
Headpiece.
Whitehead.
Oscars 2023. She's got to pop up.
What if she was a seat
singer? Thames goes viral for wearing enormous headpiece, which blocked audience members at the 2023 Oscars.
Oh, that's so fantastic.
Oh
my God.
That was really in poor taste.
It was
Take it off during the show. If you want to wear it on the red carpet, great. For pictures, you go, Thames. But, it was maddening.
It was very funny.
So,
yes.
We watched Outrage on Netflix, the Chris Rock special.
It's Selective Outrage.
I thought the thing was called Outrage, no?
I think it's Selective Outrage, but I could be wrong. It says selective on the thing. But either way, you just did a selective title. You know what I mean? You chose the outrage part of Selective Outrage, and I think it's appropriate, Mandy. Stand behind your choices.
Well, he definitely said Selective Outrage a ton during the special.
And select times. Yes.
Oh, it is selective, but it's on that little red strip in tiny writing.
Are you colorblind? That's something I need to know. Are you?
Jared says I am sometimes. Because I'll say, I like that green thing. And Jared will be like, that's blue, you're colorblind. And he won't even discuss it with me. Okay. So I wanted to dive into this because the Oscars were coming up and Chris Rock got a lot of backlash. We can talk about it when we get there.
I know nothing about the backlash because I was off, swimming naked in the ocean.
Fantastic.
I can't wait to hear.
Well, this is called a comedy special. And my big overall note is it was not a comedy special. It was not funny. Chris Rock took us to church. He had some things he wanted to say and he said them. Were they interesting and pointed and smart? Yes.
Yeah.
Did I laugh? Barely once.
Oh,
through the whole
did.
Hour plus.
Sure.
We know I'm a goody-goody when it comes to the MRFers and the N-word, and the profanity was so unnecessary and took me out.
You can't say that. You can't say it's unnecessary. It's Chris Rock. It's how he expresses. Like it's you don't enjoy it, but to say it's unnecessary, like that's his method that's how he talks. He always has. It's not something he's doing new to try to get attention.
Right.
It's his language. It's how he does his comedy.
Point absolutely taken.
Yes. You might also
but
say it's unnecessary to keep repeating things over and over again, but that's his style. Like
not
mine.
only his style.
It's mine too.
It's a huge thing in stand-up comedy because, as you know, I watched a bunch of stand-up comedy a couple weeks ago with my dad.
Yeah.
And watching Chris Rock, they make a point. They make a point. They make a point. They make a point. Then they get to the joke. And I don't understand it, and it takes me out. Stylistically. Unless you are repeating it with a different flair or a different, purpose.
Yeah.
But God damn, did he repeat everything he said?
I have a theory.
Ooh.
It doesn't always take me out because especially like when Tom Papa did his legendary bit on they don't eat bread when he's talking about people who don't eat bread because they're trying to lose weight. He says they don't eat bread. They don't eat bread. They don't eat bread. And he repeats it so many times that it makes it funny, like David Letterman, Uma, Oprah, or whatever. That kind of, so that is kind of a classic thing. But I have a theory that maybe they're trying to remember their routine, or it's how they keep dead space from happening as they're transitioning to the next thing. They kind of have to repeat that last bit and then launch into the next part. That's what I think. But I'm a technical genius.
That could be. It annoys me. It's not a huge thing. It just annoys me. And I just did it myself by repeating that phrase. So I feel your pain, Chris Rock. He said, one of the first things he said, 60 seconds in, I'm going to try not to offend anybody.
Oh,
and
hilarious.
Then he used the N-word over and over and over and over and insulted everybody and offended everybody.
Yes.
So I get that was his point. I'm aware.
Is there a stand-up comedian that doesn't offend anybody? Well, Jim Gaffigan maybe doesn't offend anybody. He's very I
think there are a lot. John Mulaney, I don't think would be offensive to people.
Yeah. Yeah, the more observational comics. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Chris Rock's brand has always been like saying shit that other people might think but shouldn't say. And some of the stuff he says, I'm like, oh, I don't think anybody's thinking that anymore. I laughed a couple times. There were a couple bits that I thought were really funny. And one of them, he talks about Meghan Markle. And it's at 17:09. And Pete, I would really love it if you could just play that little clip.
Back to the show. Everybody trying to be a victim. Like, what's this girl, Meghan Markle? Seemed like a nice lady. Just complaining. I was like, didn't she hit the light skin lottery? Hit the fucking light skin lottery and still going on complaining. Acting all dumb like she don't know nothing. Going on Oprah, I didn't know. I had no idea how racist they were. It's the royal family. You didn't Google these motherfuckers? What the fuck is she talking about? She didn't know. The fuck? It's the royal family. They're the original racists. They invented colonialism. They're the OGs of racism. They're the Sugar Hill gang of racism. Like the hip hop, the hibbit, the hibby hip hip hop, and you don't stop of racism. The fuck is she talking about? I didn't know.
The thing that he repeated so many times that I thought was so funny, because when you first hear it, it's a funny idea. And then when he repeats it, because he says, she didn't know that they were racist. She didn't know that the royal family was racist. And the more you hear that idea, the more you go, well, that is crazy. I mean, not that they should be racist, but like the expectation that they might
they
be.
are.
Yeah. Like I think that's that observational but dark, calling people out on their shit humor, and I think it's great. It didn't seem mean-spirited. Like, I don't like it when, I don't know. He doesn't seem super mean-spirited when he goes after people. He's a little teasy. He offers up a perspective, except he's very diminishing of women.
You think? Beyonce's gorgeous. Beyonce's so gorgeous. She's talented, but she's gorgeous. She's so hot. She's gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous.
That
Chris
part,
Rock, Beyonce is a once in a lifetime talent.
Yes, agreed. No, I thought that was actually offensive and stupid, and like you're just, and he claims to be a feminist because he talks about his daughters. And he, and being all pro-abortion because he's given so many, hasn't given abortions, but he's paid for so many abortions, and he's paid for all the pussy. Sorry, I'm going to say it, but that he uses that word all the time, and I don't mind that word, but I didn't think it was particularly clever. It felt very old school. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a fresh perspective. It was a very kind of misogynistic sort of.
It goes back to "Take My Wife, Please," right?
Yeah.
Have we not moved on from that?
Yeah.
That was 80 years ago in the Catskills.
Yeah, I agree. That was not a fresh perspective. The one thing that I thought was funny, maybe not a fresh perspective, but when he talks about how human offspring is the worst because every other species has 3 or 4 days and then the baby's on its own. Like the bird.
Hope you can fly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Kicks the baby out of its nest. And we spend 18 years taking care of our offspring. I thought that was funny.
I thought he said some interesting, funny things. I didn't laugh.
Yeah.
Again, my Seinfeld reaction. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Like the baby bird. But as I was watching and taking notes, I love to ask Pete to play clips. That's probably my favorite thing in life to do, because telling a man what to do and then he just does it. Sorry, Pete. I love it. But every time I thought, I'll ask Pete. That was a funny line. He would follow it up with a line that deflated the joke and made it not funny. Or it was just a torrent of profanity. So he would have a clever line and then wouldn't follow it up with more clever, funny things. He would follow it up with his opinions or rage, or it didn't make me laugh.
Yeah.
It was like a lecture. If you said Chris Rock is giving a TED Talk about his observations of the world, I would have loved it.
Yeah,
because he makes good observations. He's very smart.
Yeah.
But this was a stand-up special.
I agree. I mean, I wasn't holding my side laughing, but he has such a fire about him. And then everybody, of course, was dying to hear from him. I mean, has he ever even made a statement or anything since the Oscars last year?
In live shows, he has referenced, I got slapped. I'm not going to talk about it yet. He has brought it up on stage, but he has not made a statement or publicly released anything. This was it. This was the 1 year later, I've got something to say. And we had to wait the whole 59 minutes.
Yeah. Well,
right?
That's
smart.
Yes. I mean, you're right about but some people, I don't know, his rhythms, it's not maybe as funny all the time, but there's something about the music of his comedy that I really enjoy. Like the way he talks is so specific to him that he just kind of yell talks the whole time and he paces the stage.
He does a little skippy hop thing that's really funny. When he gets a new idea, he does a little pas de bourrée and then he goes back the other direction.
And I love the way he looks at the audience like everybody's crazy. That's his whole thing, even when he's talking about his daughter and going to this fancy white people school and how, she needs to get suspended because, she's so spoiled. Like he's the way he talks. I like to watch him talk and move. I'm glad it wasn't any longer, but his energy, while it didn't make me laugh all the way through, I enjoy him so much because I think he's just very unique in that way. And he was angry. And let's get into the last part, because I thought that his statement on it was really interesting. And I was like, oh, Chris Rock has been traumatized. He was teary at the end. This was hard for him to talk about. It was only after watching the special and watching the end of it, I was like, oh, that's right. This was traumatizing for him. He got smacked in front of millions of people and it was unfair and wrong and nobody stopped it. And, it was very weirdly moving at the end.
That's just flashing back. Kimmel's best joke was, if you do come up here and slap me, here's what's going to happen. We're going to win Best Actor. We're going to let you make a 19-minute speech and not cut you off. That was a good joke. So Chris Rock did not take the high road in this special. And I am so glad. Right? Who wants to watch him say, listen, we all make mistakes. I've forgiven. No one wants that. He went for it. Yep. He went for the jugular. He talked about their marriage, that she banged her son's friend. And Jada called him. He said to the world, Jada called me and said, stop hosting the Oscars because they didn't nominate my husband for a movie called Concussion. I've never even heard of Concussion. He dug the dirt. He slung dirt at them in a way that was so satisfying. They deserve it. I'm sorry.
He started the whole context of, let me tell you what happened. And then he talked about how she did that interview and they did it online. They put their affair on the internet with her interviewing Will Smith, about how he feels about the fact that she cheated on him. So public, so humiliating to him, And then he goes on this whole diatribe about everyone calling him a bitch, which was really funny because, he wasn't calling Will Smith a bitch. He was saying how everybody was calling him a bitch. Everybody was piling on to Will Smith and he went after me.
Yes.
Which I thought was really interesting.
I do have one clip.
Great.
I'm going to be real specific with the time codes so that people get the good stuff. 1 hour, 7 minutes and 8 seconds to 1 hour, 7 minutes and 35 seconds. He says, I've always rooted for Will Smith.
I love Will Smith. My whole life, I love this nigga. I saw him open up for Run DMC at the Nassau Coliseum. These niggas made brand new funk. I love this nigga. He made some great movies. I have rooted for Will Smith my whole life. I root for this motherfucker, okay? And now, I watch Emancipation just to see him get whooped. Got me rooting for Massa, okay? Hit him again, Massa. Hit him again. You missed the spot, Massa. You missed the spot.
I enjoyed that, and I thought it was genuine, and
I had the same clip because I love that he starts off, and he means it. He starts off, I went a little bit earlier, but he starts off saying, I love Will Smith. And he means it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that you go, oh my God, this guy he was a fan and really rooted, really loved him to get attacked for something that he didn't do. Was just, really, really. I agree. I thought it was funny. And when he dropped the mic, he dropped the mic after saying, I was taught not to fight in front of white people. That also expanded that moment, which is the thing that communities, I can't remember. I think there was a Now This, where a bunch of Black people were talking about how horrible that event was just from the perspective of a Black American or, whatever, that, to have, it just looked bad. It was, it was they're like, would he have, what if it was a white dude that he had smacked or what, it was just a bad reflection. It was poor. So for him to put it in that context even was oh, wow. It was powerful. Yeah. It was very powerful. I agree with you, not laugh out loud funny. And there was a lot of cussing and the female stuff was just completely, I was oh, I wonder if he could do better. I wonder what it is about his comedy that hasn't gone forward with that, because
maybe as his daughters are adults dealing with adult problems, not, little kid problems, but maybe he will be more introspective and respectful. I don't know.
It was interesting because they kept cutting to women.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, that's false. These women were laughing, but they weren't really laughing. They were
they weren't,
nervous laughing, oh, I get that old joke that I've heard.
We also don't know
times.
if that footage was from the warm-up act.
That's true.
Those cutaways, you can't count on those.
Yeah, that's true.
I summed it up by saying, and I've seen other Chris Rock specials, by the way. This is not my first time seeing him do a stand-up special. I don't like him as a stand-up. I don't laugh. I love him in scripted materials. He tickles me to no end when he's doing voiceovers or in a role. I think he was one of our best Oscar hosts. When he is scripted and reined in, I really enjoy Chris Rock.
Yeah.
This is not how I want to watch him. That's just my humble opinion.
Yeah. No, that's little tidbit.
Ooh.
I saw Chris Rock. He came to Vassar.
Oh.
Back in the day when he was just starting out, I guess. I don't know. And everyone hated him.
Oh.
Well, because he was doing jokes about, well, of course I like to go to the pro-choice rallies because those women fuck. Right? Pardon my F-bomb. But,
that's okay.
And he was still, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever it was, talking about women like they were just pussy. And this was Vassar, and even back then, we were like, no, guy, that's not the direction we all want to go. And you need to, this is not, it's not funny. And nobody was laughing. He bombed. Because it was just not, you can't talk about women like that.
Take that, Chris Rock.
Yeah, it was. But you know what? I hear he did well for himself. So good for him.
Good for him. Okay. Man jobs. How many?
You know what? I mean, I'd say I'd give it 3.5, but then I'd give the ending 5.
The ending, that last 3 minutes was what sold it.
Yes.
He made some other good points. So I'd give it 2.5. If he said it's an hour-long lecture by Chris Rock, I would have given it 4. It's just not, it wasn't funny.
That happens, right? Somebody says, oh, this is a comedy, and then it's a drama. You're like, well, but I feel cheated. Yep. Mistreated. Go ahead. When will I
Mandcave is brought to you by True Story FM. Engineering by Pete Wright. Music by Ian Post. And we need and love reviews. So if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, please leave us 5 stars and write a review, and we'll give you a shout out on the air.
Yes, we would love it. And also, by the way, if you want to chat with us a little further, this feels a little like one way, but if you want to enter our Mandcave, you may do so at mandcave.com/Discord. There's a cute little chat channel for Fandys only, and then also for the general public. And we love hearing from people. We post pictures and nonsense up there. And if you want to become a Fandy, we are supported by you guys, if you can believe it. Not just mentally and emotionally, but also financially. $5 a month. It's nothing. It's like the price of a hot dog, really. At least in Los Angeles. Well, in Los Angeles, they're getting pretty pricey, I'm just going to say. The good ones. They'll be the footlong. Anyway, so please do support us and become a Fandy. Mandcave.com/Fandy. And then also you can represent being a Fandy by going to mandcave.com/merch, guys. We are the cutest in our little t-shirts and sweaters and travel mugs. And there's a really cute picture of one of our travel mugs being held by a new Fandy on our Discord. So come check it out. Check us out. And we love you. You all win the award for Best Fandy today.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, guys. And you know what? Anyone out there who's not a Fandy, I just want you to know, keep dreaming and keep hoping, because someday it can happen for you. That is the American dream. Not winning an Oscar. It's that.
I was going to start to play you off, but I couldn't think of what song to play you off in. But that's where I was
Thank
going.
you.
Okay. So we are in our Oscar frame of mind.
Hell yeah.
And we were talking about an Oscar scandal, the greatest Oscar scandal of all time, Will Smith slapping Chris Rock.
Me not winning.
I would like to talk about other Oscar scandals.
Okay. Oh,
and whether or not they are true or whether I have made them up.
Aww.
Are you ready?
Sure.
Real or fake? Mary Pickford missed the Oscars when she won Best Actress because she was at her hospital bedside wedding with her terminally ill 78-year-old millionaire fiancé.
That is false.
That is false. How did you know? I thought if I used Mary Pickford, you would never know.
Mary Pickford ultimately was still a woman in the film business and an indie filmmaker, and there's just no way she had $1 million fiance because she would have done better.
A millionaire fiance.
Either way.
Yeah.
Whatever it costs.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Marissa Tomei. Tomei or Tomei, I never know.
Tomei.
Marissa Tomei won Best Supporting Actress, but some claim the presenter read the wrong name and was too embarrassed to take it back.
Oh, that's interesting. No, that doesn't happen. No, she won. So that's, am I saying true that there's a rumor that happened?
Some claim the presenter read the wrong name.
Oh, well, I imagine somebody could claim that. Sure, that could be true.
You are 2 for 2. I've never heard that though.
No, I've never heard that either. She was brilliant. It was My Cousin Vinny, right?
Yep.
Yeah, she was brilliant in that
My
movie.
biological clock is ticking like this.
See, she did the hand gestures, guys. It made me want to go back and watch that movie again, even though I am not a repeater.
Movie.
Only thing the Oscars did for me is give me total anxiety that there's so many classic films that I have not watched. And it made me want to just go sit in a room and watch movies all day, which I guess is the point.
Right.
Yeah.
Cameras caught co-stars Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor kissing backstage when they were both married to other people.
Oh, hell yes. I would believe that.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah.
I wrote it. I made it up.
Oh, all right. Well, were they ever married to other people? I feel like they just married each other over and over again.
No. They were very much married to other people and then married each other and then divorced and married each other again.
Yes. She had 7 husbands, right? Something?
I think even more. I think 8.
Oh, okay.
But I could be wrong.
Did she marry someone in between marrying him? Did she go marry him? Another?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
they did.
My God. I mean, if you like to
If you have
weddings,
any questions, please email my mom at Helene Fox at she knows her shit when it comes to this topic.
Those 2 specifically.
Yeah. And 1940s, 50s, 60s cinema. And my mom is all into that.
I had no idea. Oh my God. I'm going to have to chat her ear off the next time that she comes to town.
She'll be here in April. Good news. All right. 11-year-old winner Anna Paquin was devastated when the cameras missed almost all of her acceptance speech because she was too short to be in frame.
Okay, no, I don't believe that.
That's not true.
Okay. I mean, these are professionals, I don't think at a movie award show they would not tilt the camera.
All right. Rob Lowe embarrassed himself by singing Proud Mary with Snow White.
Oh, well, he did sing Proud Mary with Snow White, or he sang something with Snow White. So I'm guessing it probably was Proud Mary, but that wasn't the embarrassing part. The embarrassing part was the sex tape, right?
I don't know when they each happened, but yeah, he sang Proud Mary with Snow White, and it was.
Yeah.
It's worth the old YouTube lookup.
I will. You're giving me so much to do today. I love it.
Okay. When a protester ran on stage, host Johnny Carson tackled him and held him until security dragged him away.
Wow, that's exciting. I'm going to say false just because I don't see Johnny Carson tackling anybody. I feel like he would have put the envelope to his head and been like, that guy's going to go to jail.
No, I just made it up.
Okay.
I just made it up. You're doing too well.
Also, it would have been Jay Leno who hosted, not Johnny Carson. Because Johnny would have been on vacation.
Johnny Carson hosted many of the Oscars.
I'm sure.
Jack Nicholson was too drunk to walk on stage to accept his Oscar for Terms of Endearment.
Too drunk to walk. I'm going to say false because I feel like he's been drunk a lot. Like, who's too drunk to walk? I don't know. I'm going to say no. False.
False. You are correct.
Okay. He's drinking now. Like, wherever he is. I'm sure he's drunk now.
Wherever he is.
Yeah.
Yep. Joan Crawford turned her back when Bette Davis won her Oscar.
Oh, physically turned her back? I don't think that's true. But maybe
that is true.
Oh,
scandal.
That is scandalous.
Back in a more innocent time, someone turning around was scandalous.
Refusing to look at the
slapping.
Now, and I wonder if they probably did they have all the cameras on the audience back then?
I have no idea.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
She could have lost an earring and somebody misinterpreted it, but okay.
I'm not sure what she would have said after, but they had a famous feud.
Joan Crawford was a lovely gal. I don't know.
Yeah.
This doesn't sound on brand.
Two very nice ladies. The Oscars awarded Best Screenplay to screenwriter Robert Rich, but he doesn't exist.
Interesting. I'm going to say true, because it could be that Robert Rich was a pseudonym or like a pen name.
You are so smart. Do you want to guess who he was a pen name for?
I would say a lady, but I don't know. I don't know if ladies really, well, maybe I'll say a lady. I don't know who. I honestly don't know who.
It was Dalton Trumbo.
Oh, well, because that's a terrible name. Of course you would change your name to Robert Rich.
No, Dalton Trumbo was blacklisted.
Oh,
because of the HUAC committee,
yes,
House of Un-American Activities.
Yes.
So he couldn't work in Hollywood. So he used a pen name and he won an Oscar. And then they were like, well, Robert Rich couldn't show up tonight. Let's try and ship it to his house. And they couldn't find him.
Oh my God. It went that far into the process before they figured out who it was. Mandy, what a great piece of Hollywood trivia.
So should I stop there? Because I have one more.
Well, let's go for it. I mean, this is amazing. I'm enjoying the heck out of this.
When the sound system cut out on Diana Ross, she ended up rapping an a cappella version of the theme from Mahogany and got a standing ovation for it.
Okay. I want this to be true, so I'm going to say true.
It is absolutely not true.
Oh, it's too bad. That's the thing I'd go to YouTube for. I want it to be true.
Do you know the theme from Mahogany, which actually goes, do you know where you're going to?
Oh,
do
sure.
you like things? I just thought that would be so funny if she rapped it.
Oh, rapped it. I thought you said sung it a cappella.
I said a rap a cappella version of it.
Oh, no. I don't want to see that. I don't enjoy the hip hop and the rap. It's not for me. It's not for me. I'm still a jazzy big band swing kind of gal, you know. How exciting. Gosh.
Yes.
I love it. I love an Oscar, man. And can I tell you something cute? I know we're done with the game, but in the middle of it, Abby turned to me and she goes, Mom, I can't wait until Jess plus None is up there.
Oh.
And then she goes, and I'm going to score it. Because she's trying to compose now. She wants to score like she's not really. You have to actually practice piano but this is her fantasy of someday it's the American dream, right? But I was like, oh, sweetie. So she's I didn't realize she was dumb. Like straight A student, but like very dumb because that's not how movies work. I'm like, babe, it's actually finished and the score is done. But I thought it was cute that she's like, we're going to get it, Mom. Isn't that cute?
I love it.
By the way, just want to say, this week when people are hearing this is going to be the premiere of the movie in London. Wednesday and Saturday of this week. So very excited.
Okay.
It's going to happen.
Right. Coming up. Cheerio, pip, pip.
Yeah, bloody hell.
I'm getting in the spirit. All right. Well, we went out of order. So next up will be History of the World Part 2. Which we have watched and are ready to discuss.
We cheated a little bit because I'm going to be...
We did. But I'm glad because we had all the Oscar stuff to talk about.
Oh, it was so great. I loved it. I love it. Yay.
And I love you.
And I love you. And I'll talk to you. Well, actually, pretty soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.